Welcome back to Geeks and Gunnery, my fellow wannabe war criminals and murder hobos. Today it is blending a Carnotaur, yes, the dinosaur, the little wiggly arms and the horns on the head, Carnotaur, probably one of the coolest carnivores ever, with what is called an Alux, which from Mayan mythology is a small fairy type creature. Um, So yeah, we're gonna get into that a little bit. So in Mayan mythology, the Alux is considered a protector of the jungle and its creatures. Um, it teaches lessons as well as bestows blessings. Farmers in that culture are the ones who it tends to deal with. Yeah, so they're small spirits that help farmers with crops. They tend to play tricks on people if they are not offered some type of like food. One of the things I just read said tobacco was on that list, so they I guess do like to smoke. Um, and Mayan culture or Mayan mythology and stuff like that, they would build basically small houses for these things because if you could build a small house and catch one, it meant good weather for 7 years, kind of like the reverse of breaking a mirror. Instead of breaking a mirror and you get 7 years of bad luck, if you catch a little Alux, a little this little fairy creature, it would actually bring you good weather for your crops for 7 years. Um, they are completely invisible to humans, um, unless they want to be seen. They can curse crops and people with diseases. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the route we're gonna go and what we're gonna add to this. So yeah, so on to what I have so far for the stat block. Okay, so this is kind of what I have so far. Um, because it is a small fairy creature, I basically wanted to make what would be the equivalent of a like tiny flying Carnotaur. Um, obviously, got to keep the Carnotaur head. It's that iconic look. It's gonna have a longer tail, wing, so it's gonna look like a small fairy wyvern, almost like a pseudo dragon, except with a Carnotaur's head. Um, Now, because of how powerful an Alux is in mythology, we are going to make these like pretty pretty potent. They, as far as lore wise goes, they will have power over crops. They will play tricks on people like most Fey type creatures. Um, the strength is not going to be high, but the Dex con, basically everything other than strength, because this is a very small creature, um, is going to be fairly high. They're going to be fairly quick. Their constitution is going to be pretty decent. Their intelligence and their charisma are both going to be very, very high. Um, and then their wisdom is going to be high because you have really, honestly, to be a good farmer, you kind of have to have at least these two. You have to be fairly intelligent and fairly wise, and if you're controlling the seasons and that kind of thing, you would want these in something you're trying to make a deal with for your crops. So yeah, we're gonna give them pretty high intelligence, pretty high charisma. We are going to make them immune to thunder damage, and the thematic or aesthetic there, or the idea there, is like if they're controlling weather, like storms and things like that, or keeping storms at bay. I figured, have being resistant to thunder and probably lightning damage. We'll probably add lightning damage to this as well. Um, would be on par for the creature itself. High perception, high passive perception. They are going to be able to turn invisible. And then I am giving them spell casting. I don't know what spells yet or what spell list they're going to have yet, but they are going to have also a multi-attack, which is a bite and a claw attack. Even though they are fairly small. So these attacks, like the physical attacks, probably will not be super strong. And I am debating possibly giving this creature a breath weapon, just because it's like a tiny little wyvern, but also it's gonna have spell casting, so I don't think the breath weapon is really needed. But that's kind of where we're at right now with this creature. Is it is you know it's gonna be a small little fairy carnotaur wyvern type creature that um has power over crops, plays tricks on people, that kind of thing. And then obviously, all these other traits I've already listed. So yeah, so that's where we're kind of going with this one. Um, I'll keep you guys updated on what I add to this stat block. Um, and honestly, I think this would be like a really fun creature to kind of have a role play opportunity, because it's going to be intelligent enough to be sentient. Um, and obviously, make deals and that kind of thing. So maybe if your guys, if you're as DMs, if your parties have um, warlocks or clerics or paladins, people, characters that get power from either um, eldritch entities or fey entities or things along that nature, this could actually be something, depending on how you wanted to like alter the stat block you know that I make for this, but like, or just yeah, just give this as an option for something that could bestow great power upon players, and maybe a patron or something along those lines, depending on how you wanted to incorporate this creature into your world, which I think would be kind of cool. That would actually be kind of fun. Have like this, have a warlock who's eldritch patron is just this. When they show up, they don't show up in like this, big dramatic way. They just like drop in, and it's like as they crawl out of, a tiny like almost what equates to like a small birdhouse for a wyvern, and they're just like, "Hi, how you doing? What's up?" Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. So yeah, but yeah, this is what I have so far for a Carnotaur and an Alux from Mayan mythology. So yeah, enjoy. Like I said, I'll post more later. And as always, remember, whatever you do to your players, NPCs, or their minor fey trickster patrons, they also can do to you. Have a good one, guys.